Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem. This week is a week that many are considering the role that Eretz Yisrael plays in the destiny of the Jewish people in our time, in the post-Holocaust era. We know that shortly after the Holocaust, Eretz Yisrael was established as a sovereign nation in 1948, and there are various viewpoints among Gedolei Yisrael how this is viewed. And of course, everyone should follow the opinion of their respective Messiah. But for your consideration, it's worthwhile to be aware of the approach of Rav Yaakov Kaminetzky, because many people, so to speak, have never formulated a Torah ideology regarding the hakamas of this nation. And Rabbi Yaakov Kaminetzky, in the context of speaking about the 3 days that Moshe Rabbeinu asked Paroi that the Jews should spend in the Midbar, at first glance it seems like it was a scam. What do you mean 3 days in the Midbar? They were going out for good. Moshe Rabbeinu should just say, let my people go. What did he mean, let's spend 3 days in the Midbar? So Rabbi Yaakov Kaminetzky develops a beautiful idea, and Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz writes similarly regarding a different phenomenon that I'm going to share with you, that the 3 days in the Midbar was in order, Klal Yisrael was plummeting. They were falling rapidly, and they needed to be redeemed. The only thing is, it was not time for them to be redeemed yet. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted them to go out to the Midbar, not to be redeemed, but to strengthen themselves in Emunah, to elevate themselves, and this would give them the kayach to be able to continue through the Galus. However, when Paro did not allow them, there was no alternative other than to redeem the Jewish people. So from here we see there's a concept in Jewish history that sometimes Rebbeinu Shem could be mative to Klal Yisrael. It's not necessarily a redemption, but it's a way of strengthening them in order to fortify them and prepare them ultimately to strengthen them in the Galus so that they could get through the Galus and be around at the finish line when the Geula happens. Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz say this is also how we understand the period of the building of the second Beis HaMikdash. The second Beis HaMikdash paled in comparison to the first. There was no Shechina present at the second Beis HaMikdash. There was no Ruach HaKodesh. There was no fire min hashamayim. There was no Aroin. There was no Urim v'Tumim. Those who saw the first Beis HaMikdash and saw the second Beis HaMikdash, they cried. They remembered the glory of the first Beis HaMikdash, and this was but a empty shell of what the first Beis HaMikdash was like. So what was the function of the second Beis HaMikdash? Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz writes, Rabbi Yaakov Kaminetzky says, the purpose was, it was a pekida. It was merely a visitation rather than a full-fledged geula. And the purpose was, after 70 years in Galus Bavel, the Jews had sunk so terribly, they didn't even know what a sukkah was anymore. They had intermarried, and they would not last the Galus. They were intermingling with the nations of the world. And therefore, in order to fortify us, Rebbeinu Shem gave us the second Beis HaMikdash. During that era, all the Dinei D'Rabbanan were established, all the Gzeros of Pas Akum and Shemen Akum and so forth, and that gave us the Kayach. There was a great proliferation of Torah Sheba'al Peh, and that's how we're still hanging around today, 2,000 years later. If not for the Bayis Sheni, the Jewish people would not have been able to continue. So in a footnote in the Emes Yaakov, he brings that many, many times Rabbi Yaakov would use this analogy to explain the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, where Rabbi Yaakov would say that the Jewish people were reeling in the post-Holocaust era. We lost 6 million in Europe. There was terrible devastation in Russia. The Judaism was being stripped from literally millions of Jews. So in order to mechazek Klal Yisrael and Jewish identity, see, this is something that many don't fully understand, that for B'nai Torah, B'nai Yeshiva, of course, the main Jewish identity is learning Torah, like Reb Sadia Goin said, Ein Uma Senu Uma Ela B'Torah. But unfortunately, 90% of Klal Yisrael not only doesn't learn Torah, doesn't even know what Torah is. And the majority of the Jewish people, especially after the Holocaust, were in danger of completely disappearing. and the fact that there is a state gave most of the Jewish people some Jewish identity. So was this a redemption? Rav Yaakov Kaminetzky says it should be viewed exactly parallel to the 3 days in the Midbar and the second Beis HaMikdash. It was not a geula, it was a pekida, and it was a way of strengthening the Jewish people, strengthening Jewish identity, so that we'll be able to still hang in there and be around, so more Jews would be around in the finish line. So again, this is a important perspective that Rabbi Yaakov Kaminetzky said not one time, not a few times, but numerous times. And something to consider. Wish everybody a wonderful day.
Recording stop.
Go, Doctor, what would you like to say?
So, building what you just saying, okay? How do we ensure that the European Union or that direct will be